Oh boy, here we go again. Back to work tonight, guys. Earnings are behind us. Markets are ripping, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about tonight and a very important video. Markets making big moves higher in the wake of the NVIDIA earnings here, crushing earnings expectations this afternoon. Anytime we see big, strong moves like this, there are two specific situations we're getting geared up to trade tomorrow. Learn these two situations, and you'll get an easy game plan to make some money on Thursday. I'm going to cover all my favorite trades, of course, in the video tonight. That way you have a game plan to make some money on Thursday. Before we jump in, though, and get this very important video going tonight, make sure you subscribe to our channel. That way you don't miss tomorrow night's video. And if you enjoy these lessons, if you guys enjoy this stuff, hit that like button for me tonight. Give me a shout out, give me a holler down in the comments section below. No matter what, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting the channel here tonight. But enough of the intro. Let's get ready for Thursday. There's some nice juicy trades setting up for Thursday. Now, starting off on the 60-minute chart on the NASDAQ and the S&P, I like to use the 60-minute chart to plan my trades for the following day. Later on in the video, we'll drill down to our tick charts because tick charts make it easier to time the perfect entries tomorrow in our trade room. What are the 60-minute charts telling us right now? Well, as you can see, you probably don't need me to tell you right now. Everything bullish after NVIDIA crushing their earnings here this afternoon. And as I mentioned before, these are very strong moves higher, but more importantly, some very big moves. Anytime we see a big move in one direction, there's one specific situation we're looking for, but two specific ways to trade it. So everyone's looking for pullbacks, right? Everyone's looking for pullbacks right now. And we'll talk about those two types of pullbacks as we go deeper into the video. Now, before we jump in and talk about my favorite trades here for tomorrow, let's double check the calendar, make sure we have a schedule for tomorrow. There really is one thing on our radar for tomorrow: durable goods orders and jobless claims coming out at 8:30 Eastern time. I always love it whenever we have early morning news. That will definitely be a big catalyst for us tomorrow morning in our trade room. We do have the Jackson Hole Symposium starting next 2 days in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That, of course, will be kind of headlined by Jerome Powell on Friday morning. So that's probably not going to affect us too badly tomorrow, but we will be keeping an eye and ear out if we have any leaks or any commentary that may slip right out of the events tomorrow morning. But what we know right now, though, is it looks like pretty much everybody will be reacting to this blowout earnings from NVIDIA. We know we have 8:30 durable goods and jobless claims on our radar, so keep that on your radar. And again, I'll be keeping an eye out tomorrow morning in our trade room and see if we have any updates coming out of Jackson Hole. Now, back to our charts, though, because we know this by now, right? The news is noise. It's good to know when the news is, but the money is made on the charts. Let's now go over my favorite trades for tomorrow. We'll start off with the S&P and the SPY, and we'll finish up later on in the video tonight with the NASDAQ and the QQQs. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, we have a very strong jump going higher here. If you watched last night's video newsletter, we talked about how the buyers had this great opportunity to take this higher, and sure enough, you can see for yourself, right? They certainly took advantage of it here this afternoon with that strong jump off the moving average. Now, to plan the best entries for tomorrow, everyone's looking for pullbacks, right? Everybody's trying to find their way in right now. Let's now drill down to our faster time frame, our 7,000 tick chart. I always use tick charts because tick charts make the entry timing easier. This is a 7,000 tick chart in the upper left-hand corner, and that is the 21 EMA. We use the 21 EMA in lots of different ways. We talk about that, obviously, in our free trading classes, right? So what's the most important factor on the tick chart? There's actually two core or key components that are tipping us off to likely where the best money-making opportunities are going to be for today. First of all, a very strong move going higher. Now, if you watch these videos every evening, you know what I'm going to say, right? Anytime we see a strong move in one direction, we know we're looking for a deep pullback and a retest of that high. So we know everybody's looking for a pullback right now. Anytime we see a strong move higher in a trending market like this, we're looking for a pullback, looking to buy the dip and get back in, or sorry, take our profit off to retest the high. That is the easy one. The not so easy one is second component is the trading range. Now ranges are really simple. They love to break out pullback, right? So range bound market over lunch. We get that strong breakout this afternoon. It's, in my eyes, it's pretty easy to see that buyers would love to buy that breakout pullback. This is one thing you always want to remember whenever it comes to ranges. When they break out going with the trend, right? Bull move, break out with the trend, they love to pull back and break out pullback off the high of that trading range. So as you can see, both of these clues are lining up together here right now. Oftentimes, once we see a breakout, that breakout leg becomes the measuring leg, and we can use that as a measuring move. So just be aware of that size of that breakout leg. Once we get that pullback, we'll then be able to anchor it down and start anticipating, right, where that secondary target is going to be as well. At this point, we're simply waiting for that pullback. So knowing what we know so far, how do we make money on this? Well, first of all, this market may keep going higher overnight. There's one entry pattern as we go higher that you want to have on your radar, and that is, of course, a bear trap. So if the market continues to run higher here, if we keep on grinding higher in Asia, in Europe, into the U.S. morning session tomorrow, which should not surprise anybody because, again, we have a very big blowout earnings, and the market's been pretty bearish over the past 2 weeks. So this thing could keep on squeezing. If it does keep squeezing, the best way to buy as low as you can right now is to buy with a bear trap, right? Remember how it goes? Strong move, shallow pullback, higher high in price, traps, baby, right? That trap setup, like you guys are learning in the free trading course. What I always tell our students in our trade room is these traps, right? You're buying relatively high. This will be a half size position. It'll be a quarter size position. Save your bullets for what should be the more lucrative trade, and that is that deeper pullback. Now, timing the pullbacks. Pullbacks are a pretty simple idea, right? But timing the pullbacks can be difficult. The trick that I like to use is what's called a two-legged pullback or a two-legged correction. These are pretty simple. In my free trading course, you guys are learning about measured moves, right? Measured moves are A, B, C, D patterns, right? They're symmetry. So imagine a one leg, a two leg, right? Imagine that 100%, right? That 100% extension or pullback there. Usually these two-legged pullbacks are going to go a little bit further than a measured move. So again, I talk about measured moves in the free trading course. So imagine us going a little bit more than that measured move. And again, it will probably try to line up somewhere around this range high. It always just depends on how far we keep going here overnight. Now, if I can get that, again, one two-legged pullback, a little bit more than a measured move, then what I can do now is remember, I'm not a big fan of picking bottoms, right? Picking bottoms can be difficult. What I would rather do here is I'd rather wait now for the bears to come in, let them try to short this thing and take it lower. And once they do, we can trap those bears in below the moving average, and we can use their stops as fuel to run back up to retest the high. And what you want to think about here is what I call in the free trading course a failure into pullback combination. Okay, a failure into pullback combo. So if you understand the first part of this, right, where it's a strong move up, we're looking for a pullback and a retest of that high. If you understand that part about it, and you understand how that range can be used as a breakout pullback, this should start to make sense. So as we're going higher, again, I'm looking for traps if we continue this move in Asia. But again, like I mentioned before, these are small positions, right? These are not full-size positions, half-size position, quarter-size position. Save your bullets, right? Keep your powder dry for that deeper pullback, right? And again, the pullback, we don't know enough about it yet, but once we start seeing the pullback, one leg, two leg, think about that measured move, and it will usually go a little bit further than that measured move. Then we're not trying to pick the bottom. Okay, that's a rookie's game. We're going to wait for those bears to come in and let them sell this thing short, because who knows? This thing goes way up. It may go way down, right? So just be aware of that, right? But once those bears come in and they try to short this thing, we've got this huge move up, right? So we know the buyers are going to be waiting. Once they try to get in, bingo. We can trap them in below the moving average, the 21 21 EMA, that's a failure pattern. And then once we get back above the 21, we have the pullback combination, right? Remember, we teach these in the free trading course, and I know you guys are loving that free class right now because I got so many good emails this week, which reminds me, if you haven't taken the free trading class yet and learned all these setups, if you're still not making consistent money, these markets are way too good not to be doing well right now. I'll put a link up here for you in the upper right-hand corner. Grab that link, take that free trading course, because the strategy you'll learn in that short video series will teach you a stupidly simple trick that we use every morning in our members trade room to know exactly where the best winning trades are going to be each day. And on top of that, I'll teach you my 4 favorite entry patterns, like traps and failures and pullback combos, to help you start making money on your own. If you're sick and tired of taking too many losses, again, if you're not making consistent money right now, hit that link that popped up, take that free trading course. And also too, I'll put all the important links tonight down in the description of the video. So if you can't get that link that popped up there, there'll be a link down there in the description. And I also know too, be aware, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty over the past 24 hours on our free course sign-up system. So if you had trouble yesterday, just try again today, and don't be afraid to call us or shoot me an email and I can help you navigate. We should have that problem fixed though, if anybody had any trouble getting to the free course in the last 24 hours though. All right, so that is the game plan here right now. If we go higher, if we keep going higher, looking for traps, right? Looking for traps as we go. And then we look for that two-legged, right? That two-legged correction, trap those bears in, failure pullback, right? And that retest of the high. I talked about earlier tonight, I talked about how we have 2 different types of situations that we want to look for here tomorrow. That is the first one. The second one is a trading range. Okay, a lot of times what happens is when we see these really big moves like this, the sellers don't dare short this, and the buyers, they're not going to take their profit. And so a lot of times the market will chop sideways here. Now, ranges are super easy. There are 2 specific ways that you want to trade a range tomorrow. Why don't we grab the NASDAQ here, and we'll keep this party moving. So the S&P is pretty straightforward, right? Looking for a 2-legged pullback, or the more aggressive entries will be bear traps if we keep grinding higher. Let's talk about NASDAQ now. Over on the NQ, NASDAQ, same exact situation, right? We get that nice strong blast off the moving average. Buyers in clear control right now. It's a strong move. It's a big move. Let's now go over to the tick chart. Right? This is a slightly different, a 4,000 tick chart here on the NASDAQ, upper left-hand corner, but same basic principle. There are 2 components on this chart. The strong, big move right here says, wait for that pullback and retest. And again, that trading range, right? That trading range is begging for a breakout pullback. And again, as I mentioned in the previous lesson, remember, all we need right now is once we get that pullback, right, then we're going to know how big that first leg is. Once we know how big that breakout leg is, then we know where the follow-up target is. Right? I mentioned earlier how we want to buy the pullback and then take profit off the high, right? That'll be at least where the bulk of the profit is taken on a trade like that. But as I talked about last night, I always like to leave a runner, right? And those measured moves, those breakout measured moves, and again, we may not know enough yet, but we do know how big that first leg will be. Okay, then once we know how deep the pullback is, we take the size of that first leg and we simply pin it at that low, and that will give us an idea of how to squeeze every last drop of profit out of that trade on the way higher. One thing I'm always talking about in our trade room is if you want to make more money, don't trade more often, don't trade more markets, don't trade different setups. Get better at squeezing out more money out of the trades that you do take. Anyways, now, that's the simple game plan. Let's now talk about ranges. Okay, let's talk about ranges, because ranges there are kind of 2 basic guidelines you want to think about when it comes to a trading range. Let's get a rectangle on here. And again, remember, this may keep going higher here, right? So don't take this too literally right in this price level, right? This could easily open up in Asia and keep on going here. So just keep in mind. But the higher we go, right? The higher we go, the more likely we are to go sideways into a trading range. Now, ranges are magnets, okay? And so what you want to do is when you have a trading range, what you want to do is you want to go looking for levels of support below the trading range. So tomorrow morning, we'll find the trading range, and then we'll go out and we'll find some levels like a prior swing, for example, right? We'll find some prior swings, and we'll find some levels of support underneath that trading range, okay? It's a very simple game plan. We don't trade inside the range. We wait for a pullback, okay? We try to get underneath the 21 moving average. Again, we're combining this off a support level, okay, underneath that trading range. It's oftentimes a pendulum swing or a range expansion or a swing level or a triangle level. You guys know this if you've taken my free trading class, right? So we want to get underneath the range. And again, I'm not a big fan of picking bottoms. It's very difficult to pick a bottom, especially with a big move up like this. It may really collapse. Okay, so just don't be too aggressive in trying to pick bottoms here. Wait for those bears to come in, right? Let those bears come in and let them dig their own grave. Let them get short off that 21 EMA. And once again, we can use my failure pattern, right? You guys love these. I get a lot of emails about these every week. Use the failure pattern for a failure into pullback combination. Now, as I mentioned before in last night's video, right, in these types of situations, you're looking to take the bulk of that profit off at that high, right? At least a half a position, right? If not 3/4 of a position. Okay. Then what you want to do is use the amount we go below the range, project that above the range, and that becomes the runner. Okay, that becomes the runner. Okay, so imagine now, right? You're taking 3/4 off, right, at that high. What I usually do is take a half, right? Take a half off, a 1-to-1 half off on the way up, right? A quarter off at the high of that range, then leave that quarter of the position, right, for that pendulum swing. Okay, this is obviously more advanced stuff. We'll talk about this more tomorrow in the trade room. But the most important thing right now, though, is if we see the market go sideways in a range, what we do, we find support levels underneath that trading range, and if we're lucky, it'll be that same breakout pullback, right? If we're lucky, it'll be that breakout pullback. If we're really lucky, what'll happen is it'll be a two-legged correction. You know what I mean? It'd be great if we can blend them all together tomorrow, right? We'll see if that happens, though. But the range is the magnet. Okay, that's kind of the classic range game plan. Failure into pullback combo, and then up we go, back up into that trading range. One thing, though, that I want you to be aware of, this is where ranges get a little bit tricky. Okay, this is why I'm going over this with you right now. Let's imagine now we get a range. Okay, ranges love to head fake. Okay, pay very close attention to this. This is very, very important. If you learn this technique, you'll be on the right track. You'll be tough to beat. Okay, so we go sideways now into a trading range, right? Double tops, double bottoms. Now again, the goal is to pull back under the range. But you know these markets are not going to be that easy, right? They're gonna throw some curveballs. They're gonna try to fool us. What'll happen is it'll try to go higher first. Okay, then it will come crashing back down. Okay, be careful with these. Okay, obviously, we said earlier, the amount above, the amount below, that'll be a key area of support. What I want you to be aware of, though, is there's a very big difference in momentum. Okay, when a market does this and rotates off the high. Okay, we call this rotation off the high. You guys have heard me talk about rotation before in these videos. There's a very big difference between a pullback like that, right, which I can get pretty aggressive on, right, or a pullback like that. Okay, that is a lot stronger for who? For the bears. Okay, now again, these are pretty simple. Mark the above, mark the below, find support levels there. The difference is that all of this bearish momentum, what does that do? Remember, anytime we see a strong move in one direction, what do we expect? We expect a pullback and a retest of that level. Remember we said earlier that ranges love to break out pullback, right? Same thing here. Right? We oftentimes will see them try to hold the underbelly of that trading range. The bottom line is momentum becomes very strong as it rotates off that high. So the way you counteract that momentum is you let the bears try twice. Let them try once, let them try twice. This is a variation, right? It's kind of a more advanced variation of your failure pattern. The idea is the same thing, right? Everyone's still waiting for that pullback, but give the bears a little more credit on that point, right? And then we'll wait to use their stops. We're not trying to pick the bottom, right? Who knows? It could keep on going, right? And if it does keep going, we'll do it again there, right? Well, all we're doing is we're waiting for the bears to come in, let them try a couple times, let them wrap that rope around their neck, because these are the scenarios I mention this all the time in these videos. These are the scenarios where everyone is a buyer, right? Everyone is a buyer. Why do I say that? Because the buyers are buying low. Right? The buyers are buying low. Sellers who shorted that fake out breakout, they're taking profit at support below their rating range. And once those bears get stopped out, you can't get out of your short trade without buying your way out. Short squeeze, right? Covering your short. Everyone's a buyer. The buyers are buying and all the sellers are buying in that situation as well. Learn to identify these scenarios and you'll be tough to beat. Again, that failure into pullback. Now, one classic case on this, okay? One classic case on this is oftentimes these will really jump. And if it really jumps back into that trading range, my goal is to get into this before we take out those highs, right? Absolutely before we take out that big high. But the rule of thumb, though, is if it really jumps and runs back into that trading range, I'm going to use what's called a trap entry. Right? The trap entry. Okay. These are my favorite out of all of them. We don't get them every time, right? We don't get them every time, but that's a failure. That's the failure to trap. It's basically the same idea, right? It's a failure into pullback, right? But again, sometimes it really pops and rips back higher. If it really pops back up into that trading range, then we know exactly what we're looking for. Want that bear trap, right? And again, look how this pattern looks, right? It's a strong move up, a shallow pullback, a higher high in price, right? Strong move. Shallow pullback will barely touch the moving average, higher high in price, and that will give you that trap entry, right, going higher, right? So it's like that setup right there, right in there, all right? And all we're doing in that scenario is we're trading the turn, we're trading that rotation as it goes back up into that trading range, right? We're taking a good chunk off the high of that range, leaving the runner up around the high, and using the pendulum swing as we go. All right, guys? So that should cover it, right? We now know that two-legged pullback and back up to retest the high. Again, right? Measured leg is the runner, right? If we end up going sideways here, remember, if all it does is pull back, we can get pretty aggressive on that, failure pullback combo, but keep an eye out for that head fake and that move back down, 1, 2, and then back up. We go from there. It's all kind of the same idea, right? It's all kind of the same weight for the pullback, but as you can see, there's a lot of variations of ways the markets may set up to give us that pullback. Now you are prepared for battle here tomorrow. But like I said, right? You know the market's going to throw us a curveball tomorrow, right? Everybody is going to be obsessed about these earnings and try to buy those pullbacks. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we're going to get back together. We've had a great week so far, and we'll have another great day tomorrow at the opening bell with all the members. Now you know my game plan for tomorrow. Come out and trade it with me tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time, as a student, as a member of our morning trade room. Like I mentioned earlier, I'll put all the important links, all the free class links, all the trade room links, all the important info you'll need is down in the description of the YouTube video. If you have any questions or any trouble getting in, I know we had a bit of a technical snafu the last 24 hours on our free trial system and our free trading course system. So if you had trouble yesterday, try again today. If you're having trouble though, please reach out to us. We'd love to know what the problem might be because I want to make sure everybody gets access to that free trading course. And don't forget to call or email or use live chat. We're always here to help out every step of the process. All right, guys, hope you learned a bunch tonight. Now, here's the big question. What are you watching tonight? Are you watching the primaries on Fox with the Goon Squad? Or are you on Twitter or X, right? Are you watching Tucker and Trump? Let me know. What are you watching tonight? What are you watching? Are you watching both? Are you watching neither of them? I know what I'm tuning in for. Anyways, hope you guys had a great day out there. Enjoy your evening. Grab your popcorn. Enjoy the debate tonight, the primary tonight, or the Tucker Trump live stream. I'm sure it'll be entertaining no matter what. Have a great evening. Hope you learned a bunch. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, same place. If not tomorrow night, we'll do it again. Be well. Be nice to each other, will ya? You better be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.